Bottom line is China is run by Xi Jinping, not just in name but in reality. So the big calls on Russia-Ukraine have been made by Xi Jinping personally. The second point is that Xi Jinping, because of the depth of his personal and the country's strategic relationship with Putin and Russia, is not likely to move anytime soon in terms of taking on the sort of mediating role we see talked about in European capitals in particular, in order to bring about a ceasefire or a Russian withdrawal in Ukraine. I suppose the last point is, you know, if you're looking at the world through Xi Jinping's lens at the moment, despite him digging in with Putin, he's under a fair bit of domestic pressure now. There is a critique within his country about China now really overreaching in its obvious levels of support for Putin's position. And Joe, you spoke this morning about this extraordinary Chinese intervention in the stock market in Hong Kong. That's because growth numbers in China are doing badly. And the last one, and it's a big one, is this pandemic moving from Hong Kong across the border into China is now producing lockdowns in multiple Chinese cities. If you're Xi Jinping, I think you're feeling somewhat politically besieged at the moment, but I don't see him changing fundamental course on the Ukraine question.
I don't get it. If you are co-pariah in the global trade situation with Vladimir Putin, how do you continue to lift your people into the middle class? The really hundreds of millions that have successfully been brought into the much better standard of living with capitalism and market forces in China. Why aren't they going to be? Why doesn't he think that their brand is being irreparably damaged by throwing their lot in with this guy, Putin?
Well, there's a huge debate within the Chinese system right now on this. In fact, elements of that debate bubble out from time to time, even into the official Chinese media, where people are arguing exactly, Joe, what you just said. But Xi Jinping's calling the shots. And his strategic view from China's national interest point of view is that the overriding long-term Chinese interest is to have a stable relationship with the Russians, have a stable border with the Russians, rather than China, as it was for decades, strategically paranoid about a hostile Russia to its north. And furthermore, because Xi Jinping wants to rewrite the rules of the international system, he has seen the Russians as reliable, as it were, political partners over the last 7 years in this. Now, I don't agree with that logic at all, but you're asking me to try and explain what his position is. That's his argument. But the pressures he's under domestically at the moment are pretty formidable. If Putin, by the way, were to fall as a consequence of this failed Russian blitzkrieg in Ukraine, the degree of political difficulty that Xi would find himself in domestically in China would be very large indeed.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.